meeting in the Inland Wetlands Agency to order. It's Wednesday, May 21st, no, June 18th, 2025, sorry.
You gotta get the right one.
I was reading the wrong notice. All right, first item on the agenda this evening, 12 Zack Hill Drive, application for construction of a detached outbuilding. Are you here for that?
Yes.
Okay, if you want to just come up and,
Sit up here?
yeah, please.
All right. How are we doing today?
Good.
Sorry to hear about your, thanks for getting here.
Yeah, they would have survived without me, so.
Had a lady off of my exit a couple weeks ago. She's a new mother, and I live off in Milford currently, off of 95, off of exit 36, and I mean, it opens up and then it's like a blind turn, and she's out there just like standing in the road. I'm like, lady, I was just gonna pull over and tell her, hey, just get off the road. Whatever's happening, just stay in your car.
Yeah.
And she had a flat tire, and I helped her change it and everything. But I was just like, please, just get out of here, because like, all you need is a tractor trailer coming down.
Yeah.
They're not watching, and you're toast.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely got to watch out. But yeah, thanks for taking the time today.
Okay, why don't you tell us a
So-
little bit about what you want to do here?
So basically, we have it's just an outbuilding. Essentially kind of like a hobby shop in part of it. The other part is like a little home office and sort of just a lounge and essentially just a place to take in the view. If you notice the position that we put this, there's this natural platform. It kind of drops down a little bit. There's a little bit of a hill, and then it's like this flat space, and it's just beautiful. That's the only area like that, because everywhere else kind of cascades off the sides. So this gives us the opportunity to put a foundation there and be able to support it and keep it all at the same height of the driveway where you enter, where you would walk in the door right off the driveway. Below it is essentially just going to be a little storage inside the foundation, essentially just part of it. The rest of it's a stepped foundation. The idea is just to kind of step down the hill. But yeah, I mean, that spot, unfortunately, being within the 100-foot setback, we kind of knew that going in, that we were going to have to deal, with this. But, the idea is this is the view. If I kind of turn it a little to the right or position it differently, it starts really making it difficult to, we couldn't really shift the house around. We tried a few different ways to sort of make it work. It either messed up the driveway, it messed up the house hanging off the other end of the hill there. Things like not giving me enough clearance to kind of get in and out in between the outbuilding and the garage with maybe like a lawnmower. Those are kind of factors I wanted to consider. But really that view, if you were to see it, I mean, I actually took some videos. I didn't know how these committees went, these meetings went, but I had some videos just to show like what you're looking at. I mean, it's just, you're looking right out into the forest there. If you go a little to the left, you're kind of looking at more of the flat lower level. It's not as pretty. The idea with this, the back side of this building where the deck is all windows. So it's floor to ceiling windows, and it's just, the idea is just to take in the beauty and be able to walk out there. You can occasionally hear the stream that we're actually talking about right now, the wetlands. You can hear that out there. It's just a beautiful space. So, it's one of those things. It's just like, if we're gonna do it, we wanted to do everything that we possibly could with this build. And going through construction at my current house in the past 8 years since I've been there, I don't want to do anything else like down the road. I kind of want to get it all done now. That's my goal. I don't want to have projects anymore. So having this be able to be something that we can do now just makes a lot of sense for us. So I have a son, almost 2, and that's when we started looking at, when my wife was pregnant was when we started looking for land. And we had looked up in Bethany, And there was a place up there, ended up not happening. So then we put it on the back burner. And then we found this lot actually last year. It's a year ago this month. So we've been just in the works trying to get this thing going. And we're right there, you know, at the stage of getting this knocked out, and sort of putting other things on hold. We want to have another kid, but we're like, we got to get through at least a good portion of this build before we even start having those kind of talks. So that's just probably a little TMI, but that's kind of where I'm at
That's okay.
with this.
So how far is this from a wetlands area? Maybe I'm
It's
missing something.
the corner of the. Are we looking at the corner of the deck or
Yeah.
the?
Yeah, the deck, yeah.
Yeah, the deck is probably about, I think it's about 85 feet, you know, from that setback. But then obviously there's quite a bit of distance down the hill. You know, I mean, I can't even walk down there because it's so steep.
Yeah, you can see
so
that,
I
yeah.
couldn't even really get a measurement for you guys, like to tell you exactly how far it would be. But I imagine it's probably closer to well over, I think, 100 feet from that corner of the deck. On a, you know, if you were going on a direct line
We're talking about to the stream, right?
to the stream, yeah.
Stream.
So when you look at the
Scales.
site map, the upland review area kind of cuts through
With that dashed
the,
line.
Yeah, you can see, yeah, through
through
the,
the,
a little bit.
the outbuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
And you can see that we put silt fence on the map there just to kind of mitigate any type of. There's going to be, you know, I'm imagining some disturbance. We're going to try to keep that to a minimum when we, you know, just dig for the foundation. But you know, the idea. I mean, it's pretty thick over there. There's a good amount of trees. There were some down trees that have just been stuck there. Things that have fallen over the years. So. Not a lot really makes it all the way down the hill, it seems like. But that's, you know, that's kind of where we stand. We're going to do everything we can to make sure we're not disturbing that down at the stream. And it's something eventually I'm sure my son will want to take a walk down there, and we'll figure out a path to get down there somehow one day. There is a little bit of a path kind of on the, if you look at the top of the map, you can kind of make your way down there. But that's, you know, that's kind of our thought with this whole thing, so.
Is the lot cleared at this point, or is it
Yeah,
still wood?
yeah, lots. There was the owner of the, all these, the landmark estates,
Yeah.
essentially all these properties, he was gonna build on here, so he had, plans years ago, I think over a decade ago. And he just had issues, family, you know, his wife was sick, and then he got sick, kind of just one thing after another, and then he got to a point where he just was like, I don't want to build a house at the age that he was at. He just wasn't, he didn't want to be up on roof rafters at 75, 80 years old, you know, trying to, you know, jump in and help. So he decided to sell it, and this was pretty much, I think, the last lot that was available. He was holding on to it for a long time.
So this is one where he had started
Yeah.
work and you had to issue an order against him, and this is where the septic system was installed.
Yeah,
So the
mhm.
septic's already in place.
Yeah, I remember, it was a big
Yeah.
Yeah.
flat plateau.
It's all
Mhm.
clear now, right?
Yeah.
We don't have any of
Yeah,
this.
I sort
How
of
much
remember walking here
excavation is gonna be
a long
done
time
for
ago.
the, you said that you're gonna do some excavation for the base, for the,
I mean, honestly, most of it
Foundation.
is it's not the major excavation is really on the opposite side of this setback, just to kind of get us below that frost line. But there's really not going to be any. There's a if I had my plans for you, I could kind of explain to you.
so it's
but
on
yeah,
the house side?
Yeah, it's that part is on the outside, and then what is within the setback is just basically 42 inches below grade to get us our depth. You know, that's essentially it. We're not doing like a basement underneath that.
Yeah.
It's just that 42 inches down, and that's really it. Because it's a pretty high elevation. We're actually I'm trying to get it cut where the driveway is down, so I don't have like a 12-foot tall foundation wall. But essentially, this is just gonna come straight out and then sort of hang, over the side of the cliff, but sitting on this platform there, essentially. So it's raised, and then it's gonna have just a walk-in storage underneath. And that's pretty much it. It's.
A question about.
Yeah, go ahead.
The part that's in the wetlands review area, that's where it starts to drop off, so you're gonna.
It drops off right after where the deck is, so we have some
Right.
markers there, and
Oh,
then it really it takes.
My question is,
yeah.
do you think you're gonna be putting a foundation on dirt or rock? Or do you-
I mean, the soil looks a little better than it does up top. Up top, it looks like a lot
So
more
you've been down deep
shale.
enough to know you're not gonna have to bring in equipment to go.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have to blast or do anything like
Okay.
that over there. From what I've seen, I mean, we haven't been able to get a machine down there to actually do a test dig,
Yeah.
but from what I've seen compared to
I
up
mean,
top.
that's a risk you have to accept.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally agree, and that's why I want to make sure if there are any recommendations that you have as far as is there another step that I should take beyond what I'm already trying to plan for? Is there anything that you can suggest or that you think I would need to do? Because this is a big part of the project. It's a major space there. I mean, if I could show you the visuals, I've done all the 3D renderings for it and all that. I mean, it's just it's really it's pretty. And then when you see the actual space now with the trees in bloom, everything's green. It just looks like, man, I can't wait to get up there. It's a really nice bird's eye view. So.
I'm actually probably predisposed to give it to Chris to take, to approve. I mean, it's pretty far from the wetland area, it's in the review area, but only a bit, so I don't know what everybody else thinks.
It's about, I don't know, it's 30 feet to the inch. I get it even further away than everybody said, so I'm okay with that. I presume that there's some reason that angle is the right angle as opposed to.
Yeah, it's just if you see the way it kind of tapers off, it kind of goes one way or the other. The other issue was how we get into it, from the driveway. It's not really gonna have it's not a garage necessarily, but I am putting a garage door there. But we wanted it to have somewhat of a decent access, and if you start turning it and twisting, we may shift it if we needed to, but I feel like this view where we're aiming, it keeps me from looking directly at someone else's house on the right, and then looking towards that kind of open lower area, which is kind of defeats the purpose of the view, essentially.
I'm okay with giving this to Chris.
Anybody else have comments? Stephen?
Yeah, I'd just like to point out that if it's not obvious to the commission that it is true that this house does not exist,
Yes,
okay? And it's not permitted by this agency, is it?
for the house.
The house?
We do have a separate permit for the house.
It doesn't need a permit from you because it's not in the upland review area.
But it's on property that contains an upland review area, right?
Right, which is why you have this structure before you, because that's in the upland review area.
All right, that's a separate discussion. But so the principal point I'm making is, so this house has already been approved to be constructed.
It has a zoning permit and a building permit, yes.
Okay, does it have it does not have a wetland permit? Your position is it doesn't need one?
It doesn't need one because it is not within the regulated area. So his zoning permit was taken out for the pool shed, the pool, and the house.
What if activities on the property impact the upland review area and the wetlands? That doesn't implicate our jurisdiction?
Are you talking about the small part of the driveway turnaround?
Well, no, I mean, just the construction of the house and the construction of the garage, there will be no review by this commission for
It's
that?
not in your upland review area, no. That has been
And we
the
issued a
tact
permit
that
for-
this commission has taken ever since I've been here 25 years ago.
Okay, well,
And we've approved the subdivision. in
And the
concept,
subdivision was approved, and the septic was
system was
approved.
yeah.
And it's a flat space where the house is going.
yeah, I guess the point I'm making or I'm getting at is, I'm not sure, I'm wondering if so we're being asked to approve an outbuilding based upon this map, its location, but these structures do not exist. And I just want this commission to know that it kind of creates the impression that the property owner is constrained by these structures, which do not exist. And that kind of creates an impression that's kind of a bit of a nuance to this commission, because we're rarely approving outbuildings to houses that don't already exist. So I just want to make it, I'm thinking out loud as I look at this map, is it just creates the impression that this outbuilding has nowhere to go because these buildings are there, they occupy that space, the driveway exists. None of that is true. So I don't know how I feel about it. I've only seen this map for 2 days now or so, and my instincts are telling me that maybe we could pull that back out, because we have such a drop off there that anything from that property would end up in the regulated area, including anything that erodes as a result of the construction, and even after the construction, if there's erosion for one reason or another. That's all going straight downhill. So I do not know how I feel about this, but I know that I'm not going to feel constrained to approve the building where it is being proposed because of the depiction of buildings on the property that do not even exist. So I just wanted to make that clear. It's a nuanced point, but it's an important point to me, because we have to decide whether we're going to allow construction in an upland review area where the slopes are so great, and there's disturbances of soil there too. So, I don't know how I feel, Mr. Chairman, except I'm not sure I feel comfortable delegating it, and I'm just one vote, I suppose, but I did want to make that point. So, I'm without knowing more, I guess I'm not inclined to be myself. I'm not inclined to delegate this to our enforcement officer to have this outbuilding located where it's depicted here. I think that this plan could get better for this commission.
Well, I guess, if you want to just answer a question.
Sure.
Your intention, though, is to leave everything, other than the construction of the building, your intention is to not do any clearing beyond the building or do anything because you want to preserve the view.
Nothing
Yeah.
needs to be done
Yeah.
over there. And like I said, the view is priority, but functionality and Stephen, to your point, I get what you're saying, because you're only seeing this copy. There's been a lot of reviews that I have done along with architects and my engineer to try to play with this and see where things could work, shifting things around, and also trying to be conscious of costs, not having to put in a gigantic retaining wall for the house in certain areas, depending on where we moved it, or the pool. But as far as this spot here, I believe, I understand you're saying, that there will be some disturbance, but I believe that there's going to be minimal disturbance in that area. Like I said, I think we've worked on it many times to try to play with some different ideas, but what's currently, like this driveway is already cut out essentially, the majority of it. And that brings us up to where we need to go. There's really no other way to enter the property. You know, we tried to think through all these things and all of the necessities that we had with the property and with the build. And, you know, if there was some way that I could make it work a little bit better while also getting what we wanted, I would be open to it. And like I said, if there was some minor adjustments that we needed to make to maybe come a little further away from that setback, I would gladly do it.
And that's my sense. That's my sense is, I haven't really heard a compelling reason other than you enjoy the view as a reason to encroach upon our upland review area. And you know, and I wonder, without anything more from you, I wonder how that, if that were a valid concern of ours, I wonder how that would be impacted if we asked you to pull that building back so that perhaps the deck maybe goes no further than, say, the the upland review, the 100-foot upland review area. So I just, I'm not sure a case has been made.
The house as it sits, if you look at it, the front deck on the house sits right on the front setback line. So the house itself cannot slide any further towards the thing. He's already told you he needs to be able to get a mower between this building and the house. The deck is not going to need a foundation underneath it. It can sit on piers. So the deck doesn't have to have a 42-inch foundation underneath it.
Correct.
It can have piers. So the only foundation that you need is going to elevation 330, which is basically maybe a 2-3 foot drop. And an upland review area is not an area where you can't do something. It's an upland review area where they come to you for a permit.
Yes,
And we do this all the time. We don't prohibit people from doing things in an upland review area. We tell people that they need a permit from you.
Yeah, well, the shape and texture of that permit is for this commission to decide. Nobody
Absolutely
doubts that
so.
that we decide permits, but they're not all the same.
That's true.
And they rely on different facts and different properties and conditions out there. So as I look at it, we're looking at, we're looking at like 15 feet, this and that. I mean, I haven't seen the property. I don't know what the size of the driveway is. Is this a 3 or a 4 bay garage? Can the house be moved if it needed to farther to the west and the north to allow for a 15-foot adjustment, 20-foot adjustment? So that's my thought process. I haven't heard a case yet to allow this construction in this upland review area, given the fact that these structures do not exist. There appears to be flat space off to the west and the north, so
Those are occupied by an existing septic system which was installed many years ago. So he's constrained by the location, the current
I'm not
location.
seeing that. Where is that? To the
You can see
west
where
and the
you can
north?
see where the tank
There's a
is.
tank and some
And then you
pipes.
can see the lines. The lines are down slope. This was where it originally
Okay, I see
came.
yeah, that's more in a northerly direction, but again, I just see a kind of a flat area inside the 344 topographical, 344, 348, 346. I'm not seeing any reason why that area could not be adjusted to allow for this outbuilding to be constructed in an area that is less intrusive. So that's, that's my attitude about it. I don't know how I feel, but I'm not sure I'm prepared to render a decision tonight, but
Well,
I want to explain myself.
sure. Okay, thanks. I mean, from my perspective, given that the applicant wants to preserve what's there as far as, view beyond the building that's intended, I would be happy with just something that would, an agreement that they preserve, you know, the area around the back of the outbuilding in its present condition, you know, conservation type of easement without going to that detail, you know. So basically, there'll be a limit of activity behind the building so that, you know, we're comfortable that, you know, there won't be any further encroachment in the 100-foot area, which I think is consistent with what you want to do.
There's nothing I want to do off of that. You know, like I said, it's elevated. It's essentially going to be a bird's eye sort of view.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 feet above the ground.
Yeah,
to
I'm going to be
begin with.
up above, you know, off the ground. So, and like Chris mentioned, you know, the deck would be on piers, so also very minimal as far as that area. So it does kind of pull that back a little bit further from the setback. To your point, as far as one of the reasons we didn't move it necessarily more north, you start to lose more yard if we start also pulling it away. I mean, aside from the fact that the spot where we picked is ideal. I mean, it just, where we have the outbuilding is ideal. Shifting the whole house 10 or 15 feet, you start now also cutting out an entire yard just to make room for this little corner. And that essentially is one of the things that I didn't want to do when thinking about parties and children and kids hanging out and not having to go all the way down to the lower level just to go play. You know, we have 2 dogs, like,
Thank you.
so that was one of the things that I, you know, definitely took into consideration when trying to, you know, make this work.
Thank you. So
So,
we just heard it. So I don't see any we haven't been presented with any evidence that the view would be hampered if this outbuilding was reconfigured somewhere farther west outside of our upland review area. We've heard that some of the concern is we don't want to take up any of our available lawn. I see we have a pool shed that doesn't even exist that, you know, you know, is to some extent maybe even a distraction. So I'm not opposed to this project. I'm opposed to approving it on the record that has been made so far.
Okay. What's everybody else think?
Seems like minimal disturbance.
I think that
May-
the
right, issue.
disturbance is acceptable.
Jack, do you have thoughts?
I would agree. I think the disturbance is minimal, and we can assign this to Chris.
Do we delegate it to Chris, or do we have to come back next month and vote?
I would delegate it to Chris.
Okay. All right, then, do we have a motion to delegate the application to Chris?
So moved.
I'll second.
Josh moved, Jack seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Opposed, Stephen? 4-1. So what we did was delegate the decision to Chris, and you work with Chris to refine things. Would be good, though, if, well, we've said enough. This allows it to move forward without having to come back next month for
I appreciate
decisions.
that.
Okay?
thank you so much. And I do appreciate your input, really.
So before you, when you go to do this, I'll meet you out in the field and we'll look at what erosion controls, because we also want to make sure that they're effective, but we want to make sure that they don't create more disturbance that possibly could erode. So
100%.
that will be part of what your permit will say.
All right,
We'll
we'll
leave room to get big machinery between the 2 buildings.
say it again.
They leave room to make sure you can get a 10-foot truck in that space.
Yeah,
Because you're gonna have to have it for the pool.
yeah, yeah. I have. There is. If you look, if we had measurements there, you would see about 10 feet. So that was the idea,
that's-
is to make sure we
that's
had
enough.
that room. So,
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep, good luck with the
Thank
project.
you.
That lot's been on our list of things for decades, it seems.
Many
Really?
years.
Get it out of here, let's go.
All right.
Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it.
You're
And
welcome.
thanks for your time. Chris,
I'll talk to you. Yep.
Great.
Okay, next item on the agenda, 346 and 348 Rimmon Road. If I remember right, the only thing we were waiting for was Alan was going to get back to us on soil and erosion control compliance or something like that, right?
Well, and they did send you an
Yeah, I saw
email,
a
which
letter,
I put in the
yeah.
thing that said that they reviewed the 2024 soil and erosion control guidelines and find that the site plans submitted for the two addresses comply with the new guidelines.
So that's, I think that's all we were waiting for, if I remember.
Maybe we review our minutes quickly to find out if there wasn't one other point or about revision of the plans about something else. Let's check ourselves, I guess.
Sure.
And will they be in these minutes, Chris?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Maybe they have it
Pages
there.
two.
2.
Thanks. Okay.
And it says down at the bottom that it was continued to allow time for the project engineer to review the site plans for
Yeah,
compliance
last paragraph.
with the revised sediment and erosion control guidelines.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, and we got that confirmation,
And you got that
so
confirmation.
do we have a motion to approve the application for 346 and 348 Rimmon Road?
So moved.
Stephen moved, we have a second?
I'll
Dave
second.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstentions, 5-0, approved, thank you. All right, moving right along.
Oh, just what's,
Sure.
Mr. Chair, before we leave that matter, is this letter from the Regional Water Authority also part of this file? Let us be informed by its recommendations and make sure that the 2 points made find their way into our approval.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next. Correspondence, Chris, anything we need to talk about?
I sent you all out today the information that you got on 344. I didn't make multiple copies because I
Oh,
didn't want
yeah.
to waste a lot of paper, so hopefully you got to look at the
Yeah, the
pictures that
pictures
were
of
sent.
the rip wrap and that, yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
So I guess soil and conservation people agreed that they've done what they could and they're doing a little bit more as far as
Yeah,
taking out
and
invasives.
they're going to go back out again, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's good that they're a good resource in this situation to
They are an exceptional
resolve an
resource.
issue, yeah. mhm. And they seem very conscientious too, so.
Even if he
Even to
spells
the
his
point
name
of
wrong.
accompanying the owner to
Yeah.
the nursery. So yeah,
Yeah.
hats
Yeah.
off to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservation District, of course.
All right. Enforcement officer report. Anything to worry about, Chris?
I had sent multiple emails to Mr. Forchetti asking when he was going to do his plantings and if they've been started, and I haven't received anything back yet. So
Okay.
Could you say that again, Chris? I did not hear you.
I have sent multiple emails to Mr. Forchetti for 106 Seymour Road, asking when the plantings would be done, if they had been done, and I haven't received anything back.
Well, at least we have a bond now.
We have a bond.
So I guess maybe in the next email you should remind him that we have a bond if we don't have responses, you know?
Okay.
Okay?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
can I be heard on that
Sure.
that property? I actually wrote a little something just to kind of keep my thoughts linear and organized. This property here remains an enigma to me. Since its approval, I've witnessed and documented violations of the wetlands permit and our regulations. Violations of the wetland permit include failing to maintain sedimentation erosion controls and clearing beyond the limits of disturbance that we approved. Violations of our regulations include the filling of wetlands and conducting activities in an upland review area, specifically maintaining and cutting a lawn where there should be a natural condition consistent with the upland review area that was approved and a non-disturbance area and the planting plan. If you went there right now, you would see that there is no respect for the non-disturbance upland review area, and in fact it's been cut regularly, and I don't know, have there been herbicides, fertilizers that have been released at the property? I don't see any. If they are on one part of the lawn and not another, one could not tell. It is all green, it is all lawn. For many months, this commission, rather than issuing a notice of a violation, which might be typical under the circumstances we've seen there, this commission's relied on representations that a planting plan would be forthcoming and the upland review area would be returned to a natural state and populated with plantings according to a plan. None of that has happened. Since the planting plan was approved last month, there's been no plantings, no work started, and the lawn there instead continues to be maintained. Photos on the realtor websites feature prominent photographs of a large lawned area which is supposed to be part of our non-disturbance zone. So any shopper of that property would easily be under the impression that that whole area is all lawn, all the way down slope to the wetlands and the regulated area. Those photos seem to suggest that that large lawned area that should not exist is a beneficial feature to the property. You know, and I want to remind this commission that this owner of the property is a developer and a builder. We're not talking about a homeowner who's unwittingly caught up in our regulations. This development group knew or should have known that it was exceeding the limits of the permit. It knew or should have known that its continued activities there continue to violate the permit and our regulations. I want to state on the record that if the conditions for planting are good during the course of this month, and there's still nothing done at the property, and if the grass is cut one more time, I will produce a motion to issue a notice of a violation to be recorded on the land records, accompanied by photographs of what I have described. And I want to make a legal point here because, you know, as an attorney engaged in land use and real estate for 38, 39 years, I want to make this fine legal point so that our commission does not end up embarrassed over this situation where we've not taken any action. So, we have failed to issue a notice of a violation, a cease and desist order. There's almost nothing in the file about any of the matters that we've been talking about for, you know, almost a year now. And I'm concerned that the property's being marketed now and a new buyer is going to come in and purchase that property. And there's not a scintilla of evidence in our files. There's nothing recorded on the land records that this commission awaits further activity at that property. Now, if that is not on the record, the buyer may be free to say, I'm not bound by that. That's not on the record. There's no notice of a violation. I have no knowledge of any of these conditions, of a promise, this and that. And we will have missed our opportunity to ensure that the planting will go forward and that area will be returned to a natural state. We may end up in a legal dispute with the new owner because of the way this matter has been handled and the lack of action, perhaps, on the part of the property owner. So I'm sensitive to that. I don't want to end up getting bitten because we have failed to dot our I's and cross our T's and make a record here that a new owner would be bound by. yeah, we have a plan, yeah, we have a bond, we have no idea whether the bond bears any relationship to the cost of implementing the planting plan. Just accepted money. We don't know what it's going to cost to complete the planting plan. So I just said I want to finish my my point here by reminding this commission that our constituency is the entire town of Woodbridge and all the regulated areas. Not one property, one development group. We're bound to apply the regulations fairly for the benefit of the citizens of this town, and for some reason, this property remains an outlier to me. I wanted the rest of the commission to know that because I will produce a motion next month if this situation is not put on the right track more aggressively and more toward a conclusion of the matter in the favor of the town and its citizens and the regulated area. I just believe that I think we could do better as a commission. Thank you.
Yeah, you probably make a good point in the sense that if we don't do something now, we've probably missed an opportunity to clarify the situation. And perhaps what we should think about it maybe is issuing a cease and restore type order that coincides with our next meeting, and that way at least get their attention.
I'm driven by one of that property also. I go on Seymour Road.
Yeah.
Everything he says about it is true.
Yeah.
I mean, to look at it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that'll get their attention to do what they're supposed to do, because
Mr. Chairman, what did you call that mechanism?
we did something like our cease and restore order in the past, or
Do our regulations contain such do they authorize us to issue that kind,
well, it's sort of
That's
like a
what
cease
we've
and
done,
desist.
Stephen.
Yeah, it's like a cease and desist.
that's something that the regs talk about.
Yeah.
We did that at 1080.
Yeah,
But
we've
we-
done that a number of times.
Instead of issuing a cease and desist,
Or a notice of a violation.
we issue a cease and restore. A cease and restore tells you to restore conditions. A cease and desist only tells you to stop.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Well,
and
it could contain further orders too, by the
But
way.
we've
That's only
done
the
it-
title of it.
We've done it as a cease and restore. You're playing with semantics. We've done cease and restores. We can do a cease and
And if
restore.
we time it so that it doesn't require a special
After you issue 10
meeting.
days in advance
Yeah,
of your
exactly.
meeting on the, whatever it is, the
Yeah.
24th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, rather than wait until the 24th to say we're going to file a note, I mean, that may be too late, to be honest with you, to wait that long.
I was trying to be accommodating.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel I have for months, and this
Yeah.
commission's bent over backwards with respect to this property, but I've lost my patience, so
Yeah.
that's why I felt that I needed to be more aggressive and urge the commission to be more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate your acknowledgement
I'm sorry,
of
I'm
the
not a
situation.
very effective enforcement officer.
Oh, no,
for you
no,
guys.
you can't enforce things when people won't pay any attention, so that's not your problem. That's, I mean, if you email and try to contact people and work it out, amicably.
Not much I can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
But-
in
You have
all
the email.
honesty, there is no erosion that is occurring. So you've got 2 man-made ponds which are already in horrible condition, and they were in horrible condition to begin with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if that's your choice, then that's what we'll do. We'll issue a cease and restore to be timed so that the hearing on that order would be held at the special meeting
Yeah.
in July.
That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
I think, is there a consensus that that's how we proceed on this?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
All right, then, why don't we do that, Chris, and we'll see, I mean, hopefully, what you might want to do in your next email to the guy is say, the commission plans to issue, a cease and restore order, which will require a public hearing on July 24th or whatever it is, if, in the event that you fail to act prior to that time, so. Okay.
Did Jerry ever send a letter?
What?
Did Jerry ever get involved in there with a letter? I don't remember.
I don't
but
think he did, yeah, and he's no longer involved.
Who?
Jerry
Jerry.
Winder, did he ever send a letter to them about the
He
situation?
he doesn't get involved.
Yeah.
Town council doesn't send letters.
Yeah, so, yeah, and years and years ago, I know he got involved in
Yeah.
one thing, but that was probably a decade ago, so, but,
This has
All right.
been going a decade, hasn't
yeah,
it?
I know. It has been, yeah. All right, well, then we'll proceed as, in that way, on that
Thank you.
matter, so, okay. Anything else anyone needs to talk about? Yes, okay.
So, I drive by this property, I don't know the address, 250 Seymour, that stretch of that neck of the woods there on the south side of 67.
Which house are you talking about, Stephen?
So,
The big fence?
Are you talking about the one with the fence?
no.
Are you
there's-
talking
there's a
about the other side
property
of the
fu-
road?
There's a property on the south side of 67, west of 220 Seymour, where I have seen cutting and activities for weeks. And it seems that some people turn up in a late model Buick with chainsaws and other hand devices like cutters from a black and white photograph in a Borneo forest. It's unbelievable. And they spend days on end there cutting and clearing. And I've gone on Google Maps and I've noticed that appears to be an access to a very large parcel south of that area where I could see people are cutting in what I think is wetlands and tributaries and rivulets to the Black Brook that lead into
Bladensbrook. yeah.
Bladensbrook. So it's Black Brook when it's on the south side of 67.
I know the property. We can suspend all the discussion if you want. I can get a hold of the person. I have not seen anything because I don't drive that way. There was a person who was interested in purchasing the property who was going to go in on foot and plant apple trees for producing hard cider. And to the best of my knowledge, I didn't see anything that the property was transferred. And as I said, I don't go that way, so I will
Check it
see
out.
if there's been a purchase of the property and go from there.
Fine. Now, nothing I said suggested there was any transfer of ownership of the property. My point is, I've seen activities in the wetlands there and water courses, and I wonder what is going on and to what end. So,
Okay,
So I'll contact him.
yeah,
yeah, thank you.
okay.
That's
All you
the-
have to do is call.
Very good.
You know where my phone is, you know where my email is, call. I don't need to be lambasted at a public meeting. Thank you.
You know,
That's enough.
raising an issue about a property in town during an enforcement officer's segment of the meeting there's no lambasting of any sort. Simply bringing to the commission's attention
And
activities
if
I've
you
seen out
had
there.
brought it to my attention sooner, I would have been able to report to you this evening.
I don't know when I thought it was an issue, but I'm making it an issue tonight.
Well, you kind of sounded like you'd been watching it happen for a while.
I have, because I didn't. I
Well,
wanted to
then
make
you
sure I
should have
was seeing what I
contacted
was
me.
seeing.
You
Okay.
can't have it both ways.
All right.
I
Anything-
don't like the personal attacks. Thank you very much.
I don't recall
I'm enough.
making any.
Yes, you are.
But you should let her know ahead of time if you have concerns ahead of time, so,
And I have it on other times.
Right.
I did not get a chance to this time, but I don't know why it's being taken this way, but, you know.
Maybe you
all I could
should,
do
maybe
is-
you should listen to the recording of this meeting, and then you'd have a better understanding.
Well, I will, I will.
Okay.
But nothing I said was intended as a personal attack on our enforcement officer. Mentioning these items is the duty of a commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
You may need a new enforcement officer.
All right, let's move on. We have, I think the only thing we have left is the minutes. Anybody have any comments on those?
In a quick review, I did not see anything.
I didn't see anything either.
I know, neither did I,
And Gene isn't here.
right. No, I think they were excellent, so. So do we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I'll also make a motion.
Jack moved, we have a second?
I'll
David second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
abstentions? All right, anything else to talk about? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Jack moved, we have a second?
Sure.
Josh seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are done. It is 8:20 something.